Sam Howell. Wow, what a roller coaster this man has gone through, especially the fans too in Washington. Good Sam Howell, bad Sam Howell, you name it. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Sam Howell, as he has had an interesting season to say the least. Even though Sam Howell has shown incredible promise for the Commanders, he has had a major issue with the number of sacks that he has been taking this season. Sam Howell has taken 40 sacks in 7 games this season, as he is on pace to shatter the NFL record for most sacks taken by an NFL quarterback in a single season. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So here it is. Can Sam Howell and the Commanders fix his problems with sacks? Honestly, I'm going to go with yes. I think that Sam Howell is going to get a sack problem fixed because of the fact that I can't see Sam Howell continue to get sacked at the current rate that he is. Because either Sam Howell is going to get injured or Sam Howell is going to learn how to develop an internal clock. And I don't believe that Sam Howell is going to end up being injured because Sam Howell is tough as nails. This kid is a gamer. He's a baller. He's a shot caller. This guy knows what he's doing, and this guy is going to be pretty good in the NFL. Think about it this way. If Sam Howell has been taking all these sacks and he's still managed to look pretty good in the process, I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in the National Football League. When I watch Sam Howell play, this guy has moxie. He throws a beautiful deep ball. This guy has incredible leadership skills. This guy has gamer written all over him. And I know that the Washington Commanders right now are 3-4, but I believe that the Washington Commanders are going to eventually get their problems fixed. When I watch Sam Howell play, he's been really good. He's been getting the ball to Terry McLaurin. He's been getting the ball to Jahan Dotson. He's been getting the ball to Curtis Samuel. Logan Thomas looks like he's reinvented himself at the tight end position. He's been having a career year for the Washington Commanders, and I don't think that the play caller for the Washington Commanders have been that good whatsoever. I think that Eric Bieniemy has been vastly disappointing for the Washington Commanders. When Eric Bieniemy came to the Washington Commanders, I expected him to utilize the quick passing game a lot more than what he has been. Eric Bieniemy, for some odd reason, refuses to use the quick game and refuses to use movement passes. Now, I've seen a lot of people just blame Sam Howell and just say, man, Sam Howell is terrible. This guy doesn't know how to develop an internal clock. But the reality of the situation is, it's hard to develop an internal clock when the O-lineman can't even block for 2.5 seconds. This O-line is horrible. These guys are letting Sam Howell get hit every single chance that he gets. I mean, my goodness, can you let Sam Howell finish his drawback before he gets hit? Had I known that the offensive line for the Washington Commanders was this horrible, I would have never expressed this much faith in the Washington Commanders to begin with. I picked the Washington Commanders to come out of the NFC and be the biggest surprise team in the NFL this season, and it seems like that's not going to happen. But I did not know that the Washington Commanders O-line was going to be this bad. If I knew that this O-line was going to be this awful, I would have never expressed the confidence that I had in the Washington Commanders. And honestly, if I had to do it again, I would still express confidence in the Washington Commanders because Sam Howell, he's been really good for a 5th round pick, okay? He's been able to move his team up and down the field for the most part. He's been getting the ball in the playmakers' hands. They still got Terry McLaurin. They still got Jahan Dotson. They still got Curtis Samuel. I know that Jahan Dotson has had a down year, but honestly, that's because of the fact that they've got so many weapons that he's not going to get a lot of targets on his way, and that when he has been getting targets, for the most part, he's been dropping the ball. He needs to improve in terms of catching the football, but I believe he'll do that because Jahan Dotson was pretty good catching the football last year when he was getting targeted. Now, this year, all of a sudden, he seems to be having a drop problem, but I believe he's going to get it fixed. He's just currently in a funk. Somehow, some way, somebody's got to get that kid some confidence. If he can get confidence in this game, then I think that Jahan Dotson is going to be just fine. And then you look at the defense that the Washington Commanders have. I know that their defense has been vastly disappointing this year, but I believe that the defense is going to get it together. They've been much better the last 2 games. They've allowed a combined 30 points in their last 2 games. So good job to the Washington Commanders on defense for that, because early on in the season, they were doing a horrible job stopping opponents. I did not realize that the Washington Commanders defense was going to be this bad. I did not realize that even though their defensive line has been elite, I did not realize that their back 7 was going to be horrible, particularly the secondary. Emmanuel Forbes has been vastly disappointing for the Washington Commanders. I expected Emmanuel Forbes to be a playmaker at the cornerback position, but he has certainly not been that whatsoever. And as a result of that, the Commanders defense has regressed big time, but they seem like they've gotten it together the last 2 games, and I expect Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders to go on a run sooner rather than later. I know some people are going to say, how are they going to go on a late season run when they lost to the Chicago Bears and the New York Giants, who are 2 horrible football teams? But I'm going to say to you, you can't look at football that way, because when you look at the game of football, it is a week-to-week league. Anything can happen. 4 weeks is an eternity in the NFL. A lot of things can happen between 1 week to another. And also, here's the thing with Ron Rivera-led teams. They typically tend to lose to bad football teams while typically beating strong football teams. When I look at the Washington Commanders schedule, schedule, they play the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday. Don't be surprised if the Washington Commanders beat the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday, because there has been a fire lit within the Commanders locker room. And when there's a fire lit in that Commanders locker room, that team is going to go out there and perform at a high level. I don't know what it is with this Washington Commanders team, but it seems to be the harder the opponent, the more likely they are to win that game. And honestly, I think it's a Ron Rivera issue, because it seems like his teams play down to bad opponents while playing up to big-time opponents. When I watched the Washington Commanders play against the Philadelphia Eagles, they almost beat them, and they would have won the game had Riverboat Ron went for two late in that game. But instead, he wanted to play scared and send the game to overtime by kicking an extra point instead of going for two. I need Riverboat Ron to start becoming a real thing. I need him to start becoming an aggressive coach. And as far as protecting Sam Howell, can they please call more RPOs in the offense? Why is it when I watch the Commanders offense on film, they don't call RPOs all that much? Why don't they call rollouts? Why don't they call play action bootlegs? Why don't they actually line up under center? It's not like Sam Howell can't line up under center. I mean, they need to be feeding the ball to Brian Robinson. The way that they are throwing the ball, it is entirely unacceptable to me. I expected Sam Howell to not be throwing the ball that much. Had I known that Sam Howell was going to throw the ball 40 plus times every single game, I would have came to a different assessment with the Washington Commanders. I expected the Washington Commanders to actually use Brian Robinson in the running game. You look at their first two games of the year, they gave that man a combined 37 carries in his first two games, and then for whatever reason, they've been phasing him out of the offense. And even despite that, Sam Howell is 8th in the NFL in passing yards, which tells me that he's done a good job taking advantage of his opportunities down the field. And even though he's turned over the football a lot, okay, I've been fine with that, because Sam Howell is a gunslinger. That's who he is as a player. And you take the good with the bad with Sam Howell. And honestly, the only issue that I have with Sam Howell right now is that he's taking too many sacks. I know a lot of people are going to say that the O-line is horrible. I'm going to be the first one to tell you that their O-line is horrible, but you guys also have to remember that sacks are a quarterback stat. And honestly, what can Sam Howell do to avoid those sacks? He can get rid of the ball faster. He can step into the pocket even better. And he needs to stop being so comfortable in the pocket. It seems to me that Sam Howell is trusting his O-lineman a lot more than the average quarterback would be, because he's willing to stand tall in that pocket and take tough hits for his team. And I think this problem can be fixed, but I think they have to have better play call. They have to call more quick game stuff. They have to call more rollouts. They have to run the football more often, other than running inside zone out of shotgun. They got to actually line up under center and run the ball, call HB dive, call power roll, call outside sweeps, call HB stretches. They have to actually call outside runs, not call runs that go right into the middle of the teeth of the defense out of shotgun, because that's just not an effective way to run the football. I've been extremely disappointed in Eric Bieniemy, but the good news is I expect that problem to be fixed sooner rather than later, because Eric Bieniemy is supposed to be a good offensive coordinator, and I believe that good offensive coordinators adjust, and I believe Eric Bieniemy is going to get to that. I know he's been kind of slow the first 7 weeks of the season, but give it time. Eric Bieniemy is going to get it fixed. And as for Ron Rivera, his team is known for ripping off strong second half runs, and I believe that Ron Rivera is going to do that this year. I believe that this year is going to be no different. Don't worry too much about the opponents. Worry about your own team, and worry about the fact that the Washington Commanders are going to have a very strong defensive performance in the second half of the season, while the offense will finally gel at the right time. I see a run happening for the Washington Commanders. Do I think a Super Bowl run is going to happen? I don't have faith in that happening, but I do have faith in them still being a playoff team. Have you guys seen the playoff picture of the NFC? The NFC is extremely weak this year. Right now, the NFC doesn't have a legitimate 7th seed, because do you guys really believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to get the 7th seed, the Minnesota Vikings, the Los Angeles Rams, the New Orleans Saints? I mean, if the Commanders can just tie together some wins and stop getting in their own way, they're going to make a run for the NFL playoffs this year. I truly believe it. I truly believe that this Commanders team is still a playoff team. You can't just overreact to a bad stretch of games. We've seen October Ron Rivera. October Ron Rivera is a bad coach, but November and December Ron Rivera is a good coach. I need this team to start playing at a higher level, because when the team starts playing at a higher level, that's going to make Sam Howell a better quarterback, and I believe that he will get his sack problem fixed, because they're going to fix up that play call. They're going to be running the football a lot more, and they're going to be playing better defense. And when you have all those factors combined, that's going to drastically cut down Sam Howell's sacks. And when that happens, he's going to be a really good quarterback in the National Football League. People need to stop being impatient with Sam Howell just because he had a rough stretch of games, because he's going to get it together. I know that they have a huge problem right now. Their O-line is horrible, but I think they're going to get it fixed. I believe that their huge problem is going to get fixed sooner rather than later. They can still make a playoff push this season. So that's why Sam Howell and the Commanders will fix up his problems with sacks, as they will end up catching fire late in the season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.